security roadmap for the startups. So before starting off with the session, so can anyone who is working into cloud security, or you have a product, or you are a startup founder, so if you have came in here, so can you just raise your hands, like you are being moved from on-premises to cloud, or in the cloud you have been using, so that high level visualization. And if you have any challenges also, you can throw those challenges in the middle of the session. So whatever the ideas or suggestions I have, I can give it to you. If not, maybe I can do a analysis and then come back to you in the WhatsApp as well. So can you please raise your hands if you are a founder or you have a product developed in any of the clouds? 1, 2, okay, 3. Okay, fine, no problem. So this particular session, right, it will be just going to be an interaction session between both of us. Okay, so whatever you have in your mind, maybe you can start asking it. So this is logically going to be like, so you have built a product, and in any one of the cloud vendors you would have built a product. It can be in AWS, Azure, or Oracle. So obviously once you build your product, it is going to be deployed into the various environments in a cost effective way, and obviously the security controls plays a very important role, right? So because once you move in a product, so we all think of the 3 parameters: CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, so starting off with, maybe I will give you one scenario wherein like it's one of the e-commerce company. I don't want to say the company name, so I'll give you a scenario which has happened in the last 2 weeks. Okay, so it's a kind of an interaction between both. Okay, so this is a live example how the organizations handle huge volume of traffic from their users when a product is just unveiled in the market. This has happened in the last week. It's an e-commerce company, so they had a huge traffic. So maybe like whatever comes in your mind, maybe good, bad, ugly, you people can just say, maybe like if you are a product owner or if you are a startup founder, so how are you going to handle the huge volume of traffic from the users when the product is just unveiled in the market? Even if it's correct or wrong, it's fine. Volunteers, you can give the mic to the people so that anyone wants to say, they can say. So this is as part of defensive approach, I'll say, because we all pen testers and AppSec, we always think it out from an angle that it is how are we going to find vulnerabilities in the OS top 10, XSS, CSRF, tokens here and there. But that is from an offensive approach. From a defensive approach, if you are a startup founder, how are you going to protect your company? So this is as part of the CIA availability perspective. So this also comes into picture. So how will you handle it?
To answer your question, like since it's a startup, so looking in that perspective, I would start with a very small scale and with a very limited locations to be present. So I would do like a location limited, like only accessible to like it will be only specific.
You can just get up so that
Sorry.
towards the camera.
Okay. So what I would do is like I would do the location limiting, like where if my geolocation is based out of. So I would like limit only to the Asia specific, or like I want to keep like only India, China business areas alone. I would just like keep it alive, so I can reduce the traffic over there. And because of that, like I don't get like the noisy traffic or like any other business areas. I don't want to be exposed. So that is one of the things I would start.
Okay, thanks. It was a good solution. Thanks. Your good name?
Dinesh.
Dinesh. Thanks, Dinesh. Okay, any more suggestions or solutions from the participants here?
Also, we can use load balancer services, like we can split our traffic into multiple servers, and we can like manage the traffic perfectly.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any more questions? Any more answers?
Yeah. So considering the fact that I am founder of a startup, so budget would be the biggest limiting factor when we are a startup. So choosing all the open source platforms would make a decent sense. So I would like to implement a decent stock setup first by implementing Wazoo. as it is open source, and also we can use some tools like Yara, and we can use Snort for ideas, and whatever is available through open source, you just all assemble it and make a small infrastructure so that you can detect the traffic, you can detect the behavior and stuff like that. And when I'm a startup, again, people play a very important role. I would like to hire someone who's good with both the software, I mean the design side also, PD side also. So hiring the people and set up the system like this would help me secure my company.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Pawan, for your responses.
I need a little bit clarity on the question.
Okay, sure. Okay, how the organizations handle huge volume of traffic from their users when the product is just unveiled in the market. Let's assume you are a product founder, you are going to release your product, and on day one, okay, lots of traffic are coming from variety of people. So it can be a real traffic or it can be a malicious traffic on a variety of parameters. So, but somehow you want to stop the malicious traffic and you want to improve the performance as well.
Okay. So here I am considering operation over security. Consider this is a day one. I am releasing a product on the market. Because of that product problem solving capability, I am getting 100K as an traffic. Okay. So when thinking about the operationality, obviously I would suggest to go with first understanding what the traffic getting more. See, even the application is having a 5 root or 6 root, kind of a 6 or 7 feature will be there. Okay, but what is the end user mostly prefer to go? What kind of traffic they are? I mean to that, what kind of action they are performing more on product? They are not every time go and checking profiles. They are only validating what is the exact feature they are wanting. Okay, so that is the first observation we need to make. Even though it's a day one, I wait for day 5. Okay, because I need an understanding what can. I understood there is a lot of malicious traffic also coming. So in order to fix that, I pre-differently put on CDN. So it will be globally delivering the content. Also, there is a few level of parameters in the CDN itself. It will block all the malicious traffic, bot traffic, or any kind of scrap related traffic. And moving towards, that's a predefined template we have it, but that's not a perfect solution for blocking the traffic. Okay. So moving towards the day 5, I understood that what are the features the user is looking exactly. So as usual, I will containerization the product into multiple scripts. So yes, going for Kubernetes high cost as a startup founder or any kind of founder, going with any kind of containerization orchestration platform or holding that service in separate environment makes sense to me. At least I will, instead of running a whole product in single VM, I will definitely split into 2 hubs, making logically separate the product and selling more to customers. Along with that, I would add more observability tools. If you go to observability tools, kind of data logs, retail, any kind of. If you go to observability tools, you will understand what kind of cloud they are usually expecting, what is the information they are expecting, what is the speed, even if you are able to get it, what is the request timing up from your product backend to your DB query timing. So when you go deeper, when I will go to all this stuff at the day 20.
Okay.
Because I need traffic, I need data for analysis.
Analysis, obviously.
So by day 30, definitely make sure end user expecting traffic, I would able to deliver through logical containerization or delivering resource ability, increasing the resource. At the same time, I will be, even though I love the feature, I will reduce the resource allocation for the features where they need it more. Over the security part, it's basically you will go with the application security format, but when you go for security, related security, it will mostly reduce.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Satish. One more question, I think last question. So,
Actually, I need to find out it is a legitimate or not legitimate. It is a legitimate means you have find the many parameters how to find out the legitimate or legitimate. Maybe it's a opposite vendor, what positive sending the country we are is a possible. So if a legitimate means I have to improve our SAN storage, entire architecture, bandwidth, everything I will need to improve. That is my focus. Second one is checking the tank-based logging. How
Okay.
person logging, how many hours taking, really it is useful or not. They are end to end. If they are anything black or not, I can check. That's all for me.
Okay, thanks. So I can give you the final solution. So this is a solution I've been implemented in that company. Okay, so they have implemented a caching mechanism like Redis. Okay, so what happened is cache is set upon the product ID, not based on the IP or user account of the user. I'll repeat it again. Cache has been set using Redis and it is set upon the product ID, not based on the IP or user account of the user. So thereby what happens is the cache has been improved and performance have been improved a lot, and it is in a variety of patterns. And when a product is launched, organizations utilize their cache by warming up with the mock request. Hence when the actual request hits, the response will be delivered from the Redis. So this is what. So there may be n number of solutions. This is one of the solutions which has been given. Okay. In the interest of time, I'll move on with the slides. Okay, so these are the basic things. So what is cloud? So obviously, like we have various cloud vendors like AWS, Azure, or Oracle, and many more. Based on the pricing parameters, like we choose on the clouds. So most of the companies nowadays going with the hybrid clouds now. So maybe like for some, okay, disclaimer. So whatever I am speaking now, it's only my knowledge and my experience. It's not affecting my company or any of the startups. Okay, so it's all purely based on my knowledge. So that's what it is. Okay, so it's on a variety of parameters. People choose the cloud vendors, so it can be AWS, Azure, or Oracle. So based on the variety of parameters, costing, efficiency, they keep moving on. But most of the startups or most of the companies nowadays, they try to use the concept of hybrid vendors. Okay, so maybe for QA region they try to use AWS, and UAT and the other region they might go for Azure, and maybe for production they might have a own cloud vendor also, or maybe they will go for the Oracle vendor as well. So in the managing the multi-cloud network architecture coming into picture. Next slide please. So obviously everyone knows like how the security matters, right? So as and when you have to be very cautious with the applications you have been deployed, because if you are a founder, so I'm always speaking now for this next 20 minutes, and if you are a founder, you have built a product, it is your child, so you have to protect it. So on a variety of parameters, maybe like you are a technical founder, you will build your product and you put in all your controls. Even though you put in all your controls, my suggestion would be like always try to give it to a third party vendor once in 3 months and have a VAPT with them, and then do a risk assessment as well. So you'll know what is the gap as well, and based on that gap you can put in the extra controls and protect your application as well. And apart from that, like you can also give it to the hacker rank. If you're a little bit, you can spend some money with the bug bounty hunters, try to find the vulnerabilities, because instead of people, everyone thinks like what is the return on investment for information security division. You don't have an information security return on investment, but logically the brand reputation plays a very important role. So you have to invest some money, and therein like over a period of time your product is safe and secure and comes under the CIA category. Confidentiality, the integrity is not broken, and availability should always be there. So that's what it is. So, and obviously like when you build a product, right, so obviously first step or the other, you have to do a threat modeling. So threat modeling, it's very important. Like I will say like before 10 years, like threat modeling was not there. So they will build a product and push it into production, and then they will feel okay, there are various controls have been missing. So that's the reason like you should concentrate on the threat modeling space, wherein the initial phase itself, like what are the various use cases can happen. You have a login page, and then after you log in, you have lots of account summary page and transaction page. You need to keep in your mind, okay, in login, okay, what are the login related authorization and authentication controls have to be there, and then CSRF or any kind of MFA have to be implemented. So in each and every page, the security consultant have to play a very important role. So that's the reason, like now most of the companies have understood the security consultant's role from the starting of the life cycle. From the design phase, you do all your threat modeling, and then you during your development phase, you help your dev team in identifying the vulnerabilities or help in the DevSecOps region as well, put all your controls in place, and then before going into the QA or UAT region, you have a specific DAST resources to find the vulnerabilities. Even though you have all these, you also have the controls and you also have the tools as well to identify the vulnerabilities at each and every stage of your life cycle. And then going into production, obviously, you find vulnerabilities and you have your WAF and it protects. But somehow each and every stage nowadays, the industries have understood the importance of the professionals. And I also request you people, learning is a continuous curve, don't stop your learning. So when you are in DAS team, slowly move into the SaaS team and container security. So in each and everything, it is actually important. So maybe based on my experience, I can say, like when you do a threat modeling and then you have your DevSecOps pipeline, you have to think, okay, for static security, what are the tools can be used? It can be open source tools or commercial tools. If you go into the open source tools, for static, there are lots of tools for each and every languages. Name a few, it can be like SemGrep for a variety of open source languages and Java, and maybe if it is a Ruby, you have a tool called RubyMan, I assume. So there are lots of as well. And then maybe like once you finish all these areas, then obviously in the container security, it plays a very important role. There you have a tool called, in Checkmarks, you have an open source plugin called KICS, KICS. So that if you use it, you can identify the vulnerabilities at the container security as well. So you finished your static, you finished your dynamic, and you have your container as well. So that's the reason they say it is called as 4Cs. Okay, code, container, cloud, and code as well. So this will be, I will specify in the forthcoming slides. Okay, so to interrupt here, so any specific questions here, since I'm moving it fast? So any ideas you have in your mind, or maybe like it can always be an interactive session here. So maybe in your startup you had some scenarios, also you can pull in now. I'll pause here for 30 seconds. Okay, fine. So we'll move on. So obviously there are lots of okay, I can give you one more scenario here as well. Maybe like one of the vendors have reached out to us. So in that, like they asked for a EDR implementation. They have 25 systems. They need an EDR. Okay, so maybe like out of curiosity, I'm putting the question to the entire crowd here. I've already given a solution. Okay, so if you are a startup founder or if consulting comes to you, so you have to implement EDR. What is the cost-effective tool do you think? Not the costly tools like CrowdStrike or SentinelOne. OS query. Okay. So maybe anyone you have in your mind, also you can say it like. So this is for an EDR implementation. The customer, if you divide the customer into 3 categories, simple, okay, low, medium, and high. Low means they cannot invest too much money on their products, but they need security. So that kind of a customer. So one tool, as you said. So maybe apart from that, if you have anything in your mind, maybe say. Wazoo, okay.
We can use signals and that can be applicable for Windows. No? What about the Mac and the Linux users?
Yeah, it is not like a full-blown EDR thing, but it's one of the options. Yeah, not a full-blown EDR support, but sys-internals can be used for Windows stuff.
He is talking about sys-internals for Windows.
Oh, sys-internals for Windows. Okay, that's fine. So I'm just trying to pull your legs, guys. As participants, whenever I go for a stage right, I make it as an interactive session. I don't want people to sleep here because that's the major motto. Okay, don't mistake me the otherwise. I make sure I present only 20 minutes. It's my valuable time. So I make sure you learn something and you have some takeaway when you leave this session. So that's a motive. Okay. Okay, the EDR implementation came into picture. So we also suggested one of the tools, open source tools. So as well as the commercial tools as well. We came in with a minimum basic feature of CrowdStrike for them as well. And Wazoo, when he said, so it obviously Wazoo, it requires one specific resource there to maintain it. But their recommendation is it should be implemented. They don't want to have a specific resource for maintaining it. So it's a cost-effective customer. So we have to look in all those, right? When you go and buy a car, we check Maruti, Honda, BMW. So that's where it is. So the customer is also like that. So when you go in for that, so we think it as well. And then they also like asked us for a DevSecOps consulting as well. So we are getting lots of things. So maybe like that's the reason I said keep learning and keep pushing yourself. When you work for a company or work for a team, don't work in the same team for more than 18 months. So you keep learning and keep pushing yourself. That's what it is. So if you don't get a team change the company. Or if you're in the same company, at least try to learn outside. Always have an attitude to learn new things because you are all youngsters. So that's what it is. Okay, next slide please. So this is a small statistics which we have taken it. So maybe like how the AWS, GCP and Azure costing as well. So maybe obviously we have just taken it from the net. So obviously you people also can get it across. Next slide please. So these are the various tools which I am telling. So maybe like when you are a startup founder or a co-founder, maybe like at the various levels, you need to have the tools as well. So obviously IAM, what are the roles you have to give it, and maybe like audit logs, cloud trial, and maybe for CloudWatch, for the alerts as well, and the various WAFs and the EDRs, which you people can use it out. So obviously nowadays S3 buckets by default the public access has been disabled. So these are the various things which you people can use it. So maybe and afterwards obviously like even though you are a technical founder, you make sure your son or a daughter, that is your product. So you need to make sure it is always secure. And obviously you should give it to a third party vendor as well who works in the industry. So they'll have much more knowledge. So thereby you always need to know like okay what is the delta missing in your product as well. Once it is hacked, then you should not cry over the spilt milk. That's what it is. Okay, next slide please. Okay, so this is obviously my favorite topic. So CI/CD, which I have already told you, SaaS, DAST. So you use SemGrep and a variety of open source tools. DAST you can use Zaproxy. IAC scanning you can use in Checkmarx Kicks. So and Sneak is also a good tool, so kind of a commercial tool. It is less cost efficient, and Trivi use it for the container security and much more. And obviously secrets management plays a very important role. So you need to use the secrets managers as well. And vulnerability scanning you can use any one of the open source tools as well. Next slide please. So obviously IAM is a very big topic as well. So maybe like I'll try to pull in the speakers in the next month. So that's where it is like most of the vendors nowadays, people want IAM professionals and the SOC professionals. So that's a booming area as well. I will not say it's a booming area. It's already been there for a longer period of time. But you need to have resources on a 24/7 activity as well. And lots of, I do agree, due to the AI coming into picture, lots of automation is happening. So this is also a new area. Maybe I'll try to pull in a specific session on IAM. So that way it gives more clarity as well. Next slide please. So cloud trial, the logging is actually very important. So maybe the startup founders, you people, obviously you would have already known these features. It's just an eye opener, or it can be a refresher session for you also. Cloud trial need to be there, and monitoring should plays a very important role. So CloudWatch also have to be there as well. So there are a variety of tools as well. We have taken only one such examples here. Next slide please. So EDR WAFs. So obviously variety of tools like CrowdStrike, Cortex, Defenders, Fortinets. These are the commercial tools. So obviously most of the vendors, if you work for any of the BFSI sector, so they always go for the commercial tools, even if it's costlier, so it gives a variety of parameters and a variety of services as well from them. If you are startup founders, maybe you need to look in for the open source tools as well to feed in over there. Okay, I'll pause here for a minute. So any specific questions here and there, you can ask it. Meanwhile, I'll try to take one more scenario as well.
In case personal BYOD devices இருந்தால் அதில் என்ன EDR இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ண கேட்கலாமா?
BYOD அவங்களே
இல்லை சார், இப்போ ஒரு கம்பெனி இருக்குது, அங்கே BYOD பாலிசி இருக்குது, அதில் EDR இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணணும், எந்த EDR இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணணும்?
Okay. Okay, one more question. So maybe like let's assume there is a startup. They have around 10 employees. It is all like BYOD devices only. Bring your own devices. So in those bring your own devices, right? Maybe what kind of EDR do you think can be implemented in a cost-efficient way? It's your own devices, your own laptops. So obviously company needs to make sure some kind of EDRs have to be implemented. Even if it's correct wrong, it's fine. So I'm just trying to pull your legs. That's it.
This is actually bringing one device. Since you said that bringing one device, as a company said, I'm looking why I need to take care of that.
Okay.
I only take care of my data. That's it. I don't need to worry about that system. Okay. As well, getting compromise of their own system itself, that personal problem. Because of their activity, it's been getting. But I also understand the concern. Yes, even the code base, they're pulling from the GitHub, storing in the VS Code. Itself a problem. I understood that. So the first level, usually I go with no.
No. Okay.
Okay. So the second thing, basically I'm looking for what I need to get. See, code base, yes, but basically I can review it through any kind of associated SaaS or SaaS related scanners in the code base. Okay, but I'm going to mostly utilizing that system means I prefer to go with any kind of EDR solution. Suppose in worst case, I will just ensure that whether they enable the Microsoft dependency. At least the cost efficient way. I know that detection ratio will be differ from top commercial to different side, but I feel it at least, or else investing any low budget antiviruses or EDR side. If you go with any kind of EDR wise, obviously that will take per device $50. But whether I am affordable for that one, that is also essential. That's my point of view. But I will go with what I need to get.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next slide please. Okay, maybe as I've already said with the various preventive controls as part of the DevSecOps, so maybe like one more point is the credential leaks. So you can use a variety of tools. So maybe like Git Guardian, Trufflog. So these are the various tools which you people can use it for the credential leaks as well, for the preventive controls. Prevention is always better than cure, so that's what it is. And coming back to the detective and the reactive controls, maybe like you can try to use monitoring using Prowler, and maybe you can monitoring using Amazon Guard Duty, which I have said in the previous slides. And maybe like you can integrate the Prowler and AWS Security Hub as well. So therein for the directive and reactive controls it can be useful. So it's all like you need to use a variety of open source tools or commercial tools, and in each phase of your life cycle which will protect. So that's a logic called as defense in depth. Okay, so you have your home or you have your apartment. Initially you have a watchman, and then you have a CCTV camera, and then in each floor you will have a demarcations. So it is like the defense in depth. So that's the same where it comes for your application as well. So starting from DAST, SAST, container, and your secrets, and all these steps comes into picture. When the costing comes into picture from a CISO's angle, like I can say like, okay, so whatever I'm speaking now, it is purely based on my knowledge, not representing any company or any startups. So this we got it like, okay, the 100-day plan for a CISO. So if you're going to be like a 100-day plan, what you logically going to do? Okay, so if I going to join as a CISO, so what the first thing we have to check about is what's the costing, where you can reduce the cost. Obviously the resources, people, and then what are the various tools you use, what are the commercial tools which you use which is more costlier, just pull it down. And then logically when you come into what are the various controls you have, obviously do an ISMS audit and take all the findings, gap analysis, what is missing. So let's keep moving and push your leaders. So if you are a CISO, have leaders at each area like application security, network security, cloud security, and SOC. So bring in your leaders and see like what are the various controls missing in each of the areas, and then try to patch in those controls. So when you patch in those controls, you'll obviously get to know what is actually missing there. Maybe in the EDR it is missing, or in the AppSec it is missing, or in the cloud security it is missing, or okay, they have not done a GDPR or anything related to the SOC, okay, some kind of controls is missing. They might use a SOC tool which is more familiar to them for the past 5 years, but that is more costly. Maybe if you are using a AI tool in static scanning, which is more costly, you can directly reduce the cost by 30 to 40% by pulling in the tools. So you use, for example, I change the tool names here and there, okay. Okay, let's assume you are using check marks. If it is 100 rupees, I can move it with Sneak. Sneak is only 60 rupees. So just reduce the cost. So I'll change the tools here and there here. So just to protection, that's it is. So that's what it is. So you think about how the team structure, and then maybe like reduce the cost with resources, reduce the tool cost, and whatever controls are existing in place, you try to find what controls is missing, or bring in your new leaders whom you are comfortable with, put in those people, run the show. So once you do an ISMS audit or any AI audit, you will obviously get it out. So outsource that work to the third party vendor, and always shuffle the third party vendor once in 6 months, so you will find where the defect leakage happens. So this is what it is. So that's what I do if I go as a CISO. So just pulling in the people and just dragging it. So everyone is talented, everyone is doing their good job, but CISO's role, first 100 days, how you perform it. That's what it is. Okay, next slide please. Okay, next slide. So as there is bucket security, so this is an old one, so all people knows it, but in spite of that, so it is by default public has been disabled, so it's only private. So how you tag all your PI informations, so using lifecycle rules, that's what it is. Next slide please. So this is my favorite topic, wherever I go, this is my, so I started my career as a developer, so obviously like I make sure the code is always safe and secure. So, and we also check that what are the parameters missing always. So this is what I've initially told. So integrate the SaaS tools. So SonarQube can be a quality checking tool. Sneak can be a cost efficient commercial tool, and DAS scans your Zap, and IAC scanning you have Checkoff, and somehow from checkmarks you have one more tool which is called as Kicks. So you have to store all your secrets in the vault, and maybe like sign the build artifacts, so prevent the merge and the deployment and high severity findings. So this is what it is. So obviously it tends to keep changing, and the tools always keep changing. So you people, we always need people who are innovative and keep pushing themselves. So just doing the same tools is not enough. It's not the good old days. So people have to be smarter enough to learn new things and keep moving on. Next slide, please. So this obviously that's the reason I've said like if I'm going to be a startup founder, so I'll definitely give it for the bug bounty professionals as well. Give the money to the external world, so get the different vulnerabilities and keep moving on. Because if the same resources in a product team, they are going to do the vulnerabilities, they'll get bored and they'll say there are no vulnerabilities in my product. So when you go in for a third party vendor or a third party professionals, youngsters, obviously they bring in more knowledge. So it's always there. So I'm not sure how many people are here there from the MNCs. I always say that attrition is our natural friend. So we tend to have attrition. 20% attrition is a normal attrition. When people come in and go out, we bring in new people, new faces, new knowledges. So just implement in your process. So get the more vulnerabilities. That's what it is. So we support and we get support from the team as well. Next slide, please. So industry specific compliance have to be in place. Obviously GDPR compliant, HIPAA for the healthcare domain, and obviously as I used to say like for the ISO 27000 compliant, pull in all your controls and see where is the gap missing and keep pushing it out, and the SOC 2 compliant as well. Next slide, please. So these are the small case studies which I have taken it. Okay, so this is for the US Department of Defense, so 2023. So cloud which they have used is Microsoft Azure, industry is government, and 3 TB of data have been stolen. So maybe it's largely due to the human misconfiguration. And maybe the lessons learned is like always like we have to review the storage access settings, we have to enforce the DLP and the auto remediation policies. So that's the reason we always try to give our product to once in 3 months or once in 6 months to the third party vendors, a different eye perspective. The other one is like S3 bucket exposure. So obviously it has happened like 4 years before. So nearly 40 TB of sensitive data have been taken off. It is largely due to the access control and the misconfigurations. So nowadays it will not happen because the S3 bucket by default the public access has been disabled. So we have to use tools like AWS config and cloud custodian. So always we need to make sure the access control lists are in place. Okay, any specific questions in the interest of time? Any specific questions you had in your mind, you thought that you want to learn something but you didn't learn or you didn't get those points here? You can say it. If I have an answer, I can give it, or else I can Google it out and check it out with my SMEs and repost it again in the WhatsApp group as well. Any specific points which you thought you need to learn from this, but you didn't got those points here? Maybe you can point those questions here.